AJ, good to see you. Welcome to the Brainstorm.
Hey, Bob, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been a while since we connected. And as I
Years.
mentioned in my preamble, we've known each other for quite a few years from the
Yeah,
industry and our involvement in NARPM. How about we start there today by you introducing yourself, telling us about your property management company, and a brief overview of your journey in the industry.
sure. My name's AJ Shepard. I'm out of Portland, Oregon. My brother and I co-own a few companies, but the main one being Uptown Properties, which does property management. We also do syndication, where we purchase apartment units and use the property management company to add value to those. So we started back in 2011, and we really started syndicating units just in 2020. So that's a little bit newer to us.
Huh.
As you mentioned with NARPM, I volunteer on the board. This is going to be my last year as regional vice president, and I'm managing the territory, Pacific Islands, which is really just California and Hawaii. I have written myself in for the ballot for president-elect this upcoming election.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's jump into that because over the last several years, you've been very committed to participating in NARPM. How did that come about where you wrote yourself in or you petitioned, I think? How did that all come about? And tell us how that process went.
Yeah, I mean, the process to do it isn't that difficult. I just found myself in that position where that was required of me. In order to keep moving up and be on the board. I timed out with 4 years as RVP, so wasn't eligible for an RVP position, and the nominating committee has put two people in place, and in my opinion, one of them could have kept serving as an RVP. So it felt a little slighted towards me, and that's kind of why I was like, well, I'm fairly young. I've got the time. I've got the wherewithal. I want to still be on the board. I still want to serve. I still think that I've got a ton of knowledge that I can share with the community. I believe that I've got great leadership skills as seen by the companies that we run. So I really think that I'd be good for the position, and I didn't want the membership to miss out on that opportunity. So, this is going to be the first year that NARPM members have an actual choice. They get to choose.
It's never happened before, has it?
No, this is the first time.
Okay.
And there's been a lot of new things that have come up of oh, wait a minute, we've got to figure this out. So
Hey,
definitely paving the way.
There's an undercurrent out there in the market and among membership that's kind of this, reform NARPM thing. You've probably heard that, right? Amongst members. Is that a legitimate opinion? And what do you think needs to change in NARPM?
Nominating committee is now public of who serves on it. When we did the interviews, we actually, instead of just black boxes, we actually could see people's faces, which was a lot more welcoming and less intimidating when doing the interviews.
And the cloak and dagger thing, yeah, that was.
Yeah, so I mean, they've definitely, NARPM has heard some of those concerns and then tried to address them as best as possible. But I mean, I'm sure there's probably still more concerns. I guess kind of being on the board, you learn too that, I mean, unfortunately, you just can't please everyone. I mean, sure. as a company owner, you have a certain type of client, and you kind of don't want the clients that you don't want because they take up a lot of time. It just doesn't fit your business. They have somewhat different expectations. And I feel that kind of is, representative within NARPM as well. Is hopefully we're trying to please 95 to 98% of everyone and add value and provide, education, great networking opportunities. That's really the goal. On the grand scheme of things too, I go to other conferences and other networks, and NARPM is a huge value. I can't believe how low our prices are for everything.
Sure.
So, I attend other conferences and other organizations that cost $5,000 a year, or
right.
$2,000 or $3,000 a conference, and I'm happy to go pay those. But when I hear sometimes people saying NARPM doesn't provide any value, I'm like, it's the lowest cost organization out there that I know of.
Okay, so what would you like to see change within NARPM? Do you have a short list of things that you think? I mean, maybe it's not reform NARPM, but there have to be things that change in any organization. What do you see within NARPM?
Yeah, so I mean, Bob, you've been involved with the strategic plan. Like,
Yep.
I fully believe that, like, serving in a position, it's not. Yes, I do have an opinion, but it's the organization that and the board comes out with one voice, and so it's really, where does the organization want to go? And yeah, my opinions on that maybe not slightly, I mean, like maybe in line or slightly different on some cases. But what I think is really important is to listen to the members and find out where they want to go. And I think
Sure.
there's that the opportunity is like in the prep work for the strategic plan. There's probably a lot of members out there that haven't even looked at the strategic plan, but that is a roadmap for what the organization is going to accomplish over the course of 2 years. And so this strategic plan that's coming up in September is a rewrite. Last year was just a review. So one of the things that we got into the strategic plan last year on the rewrite was peer-to-peer networking groups. And I was one of the ones that presented on that. But essentially, it's small group masterminds. So I'm super excited to see that come out. It's elective. It may be like $100 for a member. I haven't written. I'm not the one in charge of the white paper, but it would allow for this. The opportunity that NARPM has is the ability to connect people across coast to coast.
Absolutely. That's one of the biggest values, actually.
Exactly. And learning, and because you feel free to talk amongst those people because you know that they're not competition. So you have this, like, you have your local chapters, and I was super impressed with a lot of local chapters that are, willing to educate and give information, tell all the things that they do. But then as you meet people from coast to coast, it's just amplified. The level of sharing goes up.
Sure.
So I'm excited that NARPM is they've got a white paper for that. I'm hoping that they continue to include that in the strategic plan. But really that prep work and understanding what it is that NARPM wants to do and getting the right stuff on the strategic plan and making sure that it's goal oriented. There's a lot of times that I've seen where it's like review this or review that. And I'm sure, working in a company, like your employees, they want the, how do you determine whether it actually gets done or not?
Yeah. What's the end game, right? Where is this headed? What's the end game? What are we talking about?
I mean, like anybody can say, oh yeah, I reviewed that idea. Well, what did you actually do? I mean, so like, having specific outcomes on it, I think is pretty important too.
Yeah.
So,
I sat on the board myself. I mean, I think there are people who think it's this mysterious group that meets privately, but actually, a NARPM member can ask to attend board meetings, right? As I remember.
Yes. Yep. And sometimes the board will have members attend too.
Yeah, like ask there to be at-large members that come and sit in on a meeting.
Yeah, and typically the strategic plan will have four people that are just normal members because they want to hear from these other people on where the organization could go, should go, what other opportunities are there. I mean, we're kind of only at that planning meeting, it's only as good as the idea is at the time, and sometimes you need some more people with more experience to be more creative.
Yeah, and they last for 2 years, right? And then I think there's a refresh every year. So yeah.
And honestly, I mean, that's kind of like one of the things in the short interim that, like, if I don't get elected, I'm not invited to that meeting. I no longer get to help shape the direction of where NARPM's going or hold the people accountable for actually performing those tasks. I believe that staff's compensation is tied to that plan and performing on it. So making sure that those actions in there are doable and of a high level and are going to provide a lot of value is pretty important.
Hey, that was really good information. Thanks for giving us the update.
Yeah.
And good luck in the election.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Let's
August 28th. And it's coming right up.
Yeah. Remind us when it is, right? So we can.
So it's August 28th. It'll open up at 8 a.m. Eastern. There'll be a reminder that goes out on August 29th. And then the polls close at 5 p.m. on Pacific time. So 2 p.m. Hawaii time.
Wow.
On Tuesday the 29th. So there's literally 2 days. Obviously, I'm going to be sharing the link on social media come those 2 days for sure. But yeah, it's and honestly, I even being on the board, and I apologize for this, I never even looked to see how many people have voted in the past. It was just kind of an assumption. It's like it was a formality, right?
Yeah.
Like they
rubber stamp.
I mean, whether I vote or not, it's not going to make a difference. And on top of that, like they don't need my voice to say that, like, yes, check that box. You're
right.
So I think, getting the word out that this year is different than any other year is really what I've been trying to do, or hoping to try to do.
Well, that's fantastic, and good luck next week.